opposite, you know.
So how did you find yourself really in the class of law?
Well, a lot of things happened, you know. You go abroad and you go through this transition of trying to discover yourself. The culture is different, the people are different, and even your emotions seem to be mixing up. So it was a moment of identity crisis where I was trying to ask so many questions to say, what is the highest paying job? Which one is the most lucrative? Which one determines the best security? So I would even question the pharmacy that I had applied for. So at that time, I realized that, okay, there are opportunities to change your course to another. So having discovered that, that's how I decided to say, okay, let me change. How about let me try law? Yeah, because I figured that perhaps I could specialize in international law and work with international organizations and governments. Yeah, so that's how I ended up just changing. At that moment, my change was that of insecurity, but also trying out.
Interesting, interesting. So currently I'm speaking to a lawyer.
Something like that.
How has the journey really been from day one when you went into a class of law?
It's been very challenging because imagine the way we are, the education system here. From grade 1 to grade 12, you've been learning in English and you are accustomed to English. You go to university, it's English. But over there, you find that when you go there, the first 6 months, you have to learn French because that's the language you'll be using in university. Then, after having learned French, which of course wasn't that much enough, you go to university and you find that sometimes the professors who are very confident about their Arabic, they give you certain points also in Arabic, even in as much as they know that there are foreign students here who are supposed to understand things in French and they have no grasp whatsoever of Arabic.
So you know how to speak?
I do. It's just like English to me.
Okay.
Yeah, serious. Exactly.
Bon appetit.
Mexico.
That's fantastic. Okay, great. So, what are some of the challenges that you encountered whilst you stayed here?
Quite plenty, to be honest. I think the most common, apart from the food, yeah, which was quite challenging.
What challenging about the food, by the way?
About the food, oh goodness. You know, you're used to so much shima here. Once it's shima, it's good for them.
Yes.
You know? But over there is no shima. They just have this big round bread. They call them du pain in French. So you find that that bread, it's not enough. It's not enough. And even so many weird food like snails and all those things. You know,
so you're eating snails?
I wasn't eating snails, but you know, there was so many, you know, so much weird stuff that I had to adapt to.
Okay.
Yes. So apart from the food, I was going to say the people and the culture also is different because you find in this society where they have not yet been so exposed. So we see you actually in black skin as a black person, it's mostly weird for them, especially the other generation. So you find maybe you're walking on the street, somebody throws stones at you, or they throw a banana at you, you know.
So it used to literally happen.
It used to happen to me. It used to happen to me. And there was even a point when I was actually attacked one of the nights when I was walking. Everything got stolen and all those kind of things. So it has been a lot of pressure on the flip side of the good that I have gotten the academic qualification.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in Morocco, when we talk about wildlife, they don't have monkeys there?
Not really, because it's for them it's more of a desert. Even though the deserts are in the outskirts, but they don't even have many trees and forests and all those kind of things. They actually plant themselves the trees.
Did you at some point feel like, you know, perhaps getting back home after having so much pressure like that, so many challenges coming in like that, on top of that being attacked as well?
After 10 months of being there, that was the point when I actually discovered that I can go and study at UNZA. It was, you know, during those same challenges, the academic challenges where you're in class and you're trying to understand things, you know, I mentioned in the beginning that I had gone through a process of identity crisis trying to discover what's best for me. Even when I had chosen the law in class, when I started, people started telling me, how can you study law in a foreign country? You're not going to find a job, it's going to be complicated and all those things. So I started now asking myself those questions. And from that, there will be moments of depression, and the only thing that would ease me and help me out at that moment were those local Moroccan drugs and alcohol and all those things. I reached a point of confusion where I said, let me maybe change to another course, maybe economics or something like that. So it was a huge moment of identity crisis, and I said I can't do it anymore. I told my parents to say I have to come back. That was just like 10 months after being there. And from that moment, my father said, actually, here's your acceptance letter from UNZA in the School of Humanities. You can come and we'll work something out. So at that moment, I said, okay, actually, I think I have to go. But then, after a few weeks of reflection, I said, I've been intelligent all this while, starting from high school. How am I going to give up now? If I came here out of hard work and I desired this, so let me just make it. And at that time, just to stress that, so much time had passed that my friends were learning and I was going through depression. And by the time I realized that, it was only 3 weeks till the exams. Yeah.
3 weeks to the exams?
Yes.
Okay. I can imagine just a bunch of work that you had to cover.
It was a lot of work. And you find that after the first semester, I didn't even, out of 7 subjects, I passed only 2. But by God's grace, I was given an opportunity in 2 weeks to write the others. And I passed. And coming second semester with a resolution that I made, that I've always been intelligent, that's how the academics started improving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exciting. So how did you deal with your mindset? Your mindset challenges about the environment, the people, and the culture, about Morocco in general?
I think I arrived at the point of, okay, let me stress this point, because if I say that I decided that on my own, it would be, that would be too confident in myself, because before then, I never had so much confidence in it. I used to question the existence of God and everything. But it was at the point where I came to the reality of saying God actually exists, that in that moment, I started involving God in my life, And from that decision to start involving God in my life, it went somehow, and reading the Bible, my mind started changing. My thinking process started changing. And from accepting myself, I started accepting the people to say, okay, these guys, this is the way they are. They haven't had the exposure. And it would be best for me to understand them and try to interact with them. And that's how, from making peace with myself, I started making peace with others.
For how long did you stay in Morocco?
I've been there for close to 4 years now.
Close to 4 years?
Yes.
Still there?
Pardon?
Still there?
Well, I'm hoping to go there for masters this month end.
Okay.
Yes, in international cooperation.
Okay. Yes. So at least at the end of the day, you ended up loving the country.
we can say that. Exactly.
So during the time that you were struggling with self-identity, you were struggling with coming into terms with the reality and all, were you also already writing something?
At that point, no. I can say I was really confused. I don't know how I can put that, but if there's a way to define how confused I was, we can put it into terms, but I was really confused. I wasn't writing anything at that point, because at that point for me, my life never really had much significance. I didn't even know what I could do personally. I didn't.
So you are not an author yet?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
So when did the idea of authorship come in?
It came in last year, around August.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, around August last year. That's when the idea came to write a book. It was from the inspiration of my experiences to say, I realized that many young people are going through the same challenges that I was going through. Challenges of drug addictions, challenges of personal insecurity and identity, challenges of career guidance and leadership and all those kind of things. So I said, okay, if I have been able to go through these circumstances, I believe there are many more that need this help. So that's how I decided to say, let me start writing these books.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exciting. All right. So prior to that, you didn't think of yourself as an author.
No. Prior to that, I didn't. I just thought of myself as this guy who just needs to enjoy life.
Okay. When you are getting into law,
yes, please.
what was your main objective? What did you want really to, you know, to should I say, to achieve by being a lawyer?
When I was getting into it, for me, it was more in the context of, like I mentioned in the beginning, I was looking at trying to ask myself the questions to say, which course is going to be the most lucrative for me? Which is the one that is going to guarantee me a good job and all those kind of things. I was asking myself so many questions. So I thought, maybe if I try this, it is going to work out. At that moment, I didn't really have a defined objective to say, this is what I want to achieve in the end of the day, but it was more in the context of financial security.
Okay.
Yes.
At least somebody told you that, you know, lawyers make a lot of money.
Exactly.
Oh. And they're always secured. They're always highly protected. Okay, great. So now, over the years that, you know, you've done this part, satisfied?
I can say I am going. Yeah, because if I say I'm satisfied, then I'll say I would have arrived. But I think it's a journey, so I'm still going. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So now that the first part is done, what's next for you?
What's next for me right now is we have to continue building Reinvented Youth Vision, which is an organization that started in Morocco through the same inspiration. We hosting conferences and speaking on issues of identity and personal leadership. And right now we have one that is going on. It's called Reinvention International Youth Conference, which is the first one in Zambia, and it's going to be this Saturday at Waddington Center from 12 to 17. That is what's next. And the other thing is for me to continue with the masters, because now it's defined. I want to be a lecturer, yeah, in university, so that I can have an influence among students. That's my desire. Yeah.
Okay, so now you mentioned that, you know, reinventing life began in Morocco.
Exactly.
So how did you start it in a foreign land?
Well, it started with the local Zambians.
Yeah. How many local Zambians were there at the university where you were?
I was the only one at the university I was.
You're the only one?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so how did you end up meeting the other Zambians there?
It was through church and through various communities. For example, when we arrived there, because Zambia started going to Morocco from 2011, so when you arrive there, there is a student association called ZASA, where we guide each other and we help each other with settling down and everything. So it is from that I met Zambians, and even though we are dispersed in different cities. So the organization started through us organizing each other and having these leadership conferences.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So how did, you know, the idea of a reinvented life come in?
Okay. Well, that's a very interesting question. It's more from a biblical context, because you're a Christian, right? Yes. When God created us, that's like invasion. Yes, that's like invasion, and I believe that with the period of sin and everything, it's like we kind of degraded some, but it's like with Jesus Christ, we are reinvented. So there's this new recreation. So reinvented is basically being recreated, where you have a new spirit and your ideas are renewed, your thoughts renewed, and your life purpose renewed. So it's more of in the context of renewal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right. So now, when you started this association or this, you know, this movement, how was the level of interest, especially from the people in Morocco, Moroccans themselves? Did they take keen interest?
Well, with the Moroccans, it's very complicated. Mm-hmm. It's a highly religious kingdom.
Okay.
It's not like Zambia, where we are welcoming to diverse views. Yes.
Okay.
The kingdom is very closed. You find they are Islam, and you cannot just go out there talking about Christianity or holding conferences and all that stuff.
So did you, having said so, was there any space of you really having friends who are Moroccans and perhaps even becoming more friends, especially with the opposite sex?
Yes, yes. The new generation actually they are quite open. It's not the older generation. Yes, so I do have friends and actually a lot of friends. But in the context of the organization, it started first of all with just 7 people where would meet and discuss the various issues that young people are going through. It was called Reinvented Life Plan. Yes, so we discuss the various issues that young people are going through and find solutions to what the Bible says about those circumstances, issues of addictions, identity, and personal life purpose. So
I'm sure that all this was not being done in secrecy. I'm sure that, you guys at some point, you were exposed to Moroccans there.
Yes.
Are there any times when you could be persecuted for being Christians in Morocco?
At this moment, if you go outside and just start talking and all that, there are certain spaces where it's allowed, like the churches and everything, even though the churches are not many also. Yes. So you would normally meet in houses.
What churches did you see in which exist in Morocco?
There's the Catholic Church, there's the Adventist Church. For you to know that the church is there, apart from the Catholic Church, of course, because it's very wide, it's actually even in the capital city, you have to be external, to know that that's a church, or there's a church over there. They're actually hidden spaces. But now it's becoming more open. So, yeah.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So now, obviously, as you were in Morocco, you discovered yourself and you realized that it's very important that now I begin helping other people also discover themselves. And one way in which you thought of doing this is by coming up with a book. So the first book that you wrote was The Path to Unfailing Joy.
Yes.
What was the concept behind this book?
The concept is that I looked at my life and thought, how can I tell a story in a way that does not just talk about me, but talk about the average youth in general? So that's how I decided to say, okay, I moved from a place of anxiety, depression, worry, and frustration into a place of peace and joy and purpose. And I'm going to tell this story, my personal story, but also so that I can be inclusive with other youths, I'll make it fictional. So that's how I wrote that, The Path to Unfailing Joy, of a story of a young guy who goes through this process of transition and finds the joy at the end. Yeah. So it's not basically about me, but there's a context about me, but it's more inclusive about the average youth.
Okay. So you want to paint a picture of what a modern youth is going through.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the best way to say it.
Okay. Why do you think most of young people today find it very difficult to know their identity, their image?
I think number one is the environment. That is the first thing. When you look around, you go to the mall, even to churches or to schools, you'll never find somebody who's alone. Well, you find people alone, but everybody's always in groups. So when you're every time desiring to be in groups and all those kind of things, you find that your identity will be coming from the groups. And that's why most young people don't have the time to discover themselves, because they have the time being in groups. Yeah.
Okay. Don't you think that group setup also allows or gives an opportunity or provides an environment for young people to learn about their strengths and their weaknesses, which are quite vital to their identity?
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed it does. But I think it comes from, there's a certain man, Dr. Miles Monroe, he said, we are all a subtotal of what we've learned from all who have taught us. So, meaning that there is a cost of us receiving something that builds us up. And there is a context of us receiving something that destroys us. So, in the situation, answering the question of why most young people do not discover themselves is that their environments don't normally allow them to discover themselves in that context. Environments are also good in some way because they help us, as you have said, to discover our strengths, our weaknesses, and all that. But the best place is isolation.
Okay, so you believe young people should learn to be alone?
They should learn to embrace quality alone. Times of reflection, not just time alone, because people can be do so many things.
Exactly. You understand? That's where my worry comes in. And what young people do when they alone?
You know,
it's rare that you find a young person, he's alone and he's just alone under the tree and he's reading, or he's just alone under the tree and he's meditating. In most cases, when we are alone, it's either you find that he's on phone. What is he doing? He's Facebooking at the same time, headsets in, and he's listening to music, trying to either distract themselves to something bigger or something like that. So that's where my worry is coming from. Should we advise young people to spend too much time alone?
When I'm going to say something, it's a scripture from Proverbs 23 verse 7. I like Proverbs because there's so much wisdom. It says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Meaning that we are what we think about. Yeah. Because our thoughts influence our feelings, which influence our actions. But most of the times, when people are alone, they are rarely analyzing their thoughts.
Okay.
Yes.
So how did you handle your situation where you were in an identity crisis? You didn't really especially away from home, away from family, and you were trying to strike a balance. You are trying to get to know yourself. How did you handle that situation?
How I handled that situation, like I said, is from the first time I realized. I think it comes from this. Let me give you an example. I think this is a very good example. I'll say this. Source determines resource. For example, the manufacturers of Apple, right, the phone, they know the content of Apple about my actions. So I think it came from the context of, first of all, discovering that I'm a resource from the main source, who is God. So being made in His image, I have His qualities, and with that I said being intentional about these other exteriors that I mentioned.
Alright, so I'm still talking to Mr. Kakoma Chinyam, actually, who is an author. On top of that, a law graduate, exactly, planning to go for his master's as well. Okay, so he did his his law education in Morocco through a scholarship that was granted to him as a result of his hard work. The first book that he wrote is called The Path to Unfailing Joy. And now the one that is currently trending is I Don't Mind Waiting. You are trying to address a very, complicated period of time when someone feels being alone is okay, but at the same time they also need the affection of the opposite. Exactly. So you are trying to talk to somebody who is in between. Okay, I want to be alone and to get married, but at the same time I need a woman in my life. I want to be alone, I don't want to get married. At the same time I need a man in my life. So what came in your mind when you are trying to address the issues of singleness?
It's I look at the society and I say, everybody's talking about dating, everybody's talking about marriage. Where does it leave the single person?
You know, choose between the two.
Exactly. You see? So it's like there's so much importance that has been placed on finding the right partner, being in a relationship and all that, that everybody is preoccupied with finding somebody to come into their life, that they rarely find themselves. So in this book, the idea is to help people understand that it's okay to be alone. It's okay to not be in a relationship. It's okay to not be dating. It's okay. What makes it okay? What's it okay is that in this period when you are alone, this is the period when you get to really be intentional about your personal discovery, because you have your 20 hours to yourself. You have no one to be accountable to. You have your 24 hours to yourself, and you get intentional about your goals. You get intentional about your purpose. You get intentional about what you must do for life. So that even if that person comes into your life, you will not be to drain each other's energy, you know. Like people say, oh, my better half. Why? Because they are not complete. Because they believe they are not complete. So they have to find a better half. But you don't have to find a person who's your better half. No. You must be complete and find somebody who's also complete. So that is the context of this book, to help you realize that the time of singleness is a time for you to discover your completeness. Yes.
How do young people, according to your experience, really use their time of singleness today?
Oh, goodness. Just the way I was using mine.
How did you use yours?
You know, just, moving from one relationship to the other, peer pressure, and all these other things. I think that is how most young
That is distraction, moving from one relationship to the other in search of whatever you're searching for. I put a dash there. I think somebody has to fill it up.
Exactly. Yeah,
exactly. So is it a distraction in its own?
Well, I would say it is, because like I said, it is from the philosophy of trying to find a better half. Because I think people feel like they are not so good when they are alone. So we try to find somebody to complete us, somebody to make us feel good and all that kind of stuff, because we can't feel good when we are alone. Yeah. So from this aspect of trying to feel good, that's where among people try to feel good with drugs, trying to feel good with various indulgences and all these other things. Yeah.
Okay. Would you also agree that boredom was one of the reasons why most young people fail to stay single or to appreciate the value of sex?
I would say that, yes. Boredom is one of them. And boredom comes from not knowing your project. Yeah. That's where boredom comes from. Because if you know your strengths, if you know your weaknesses, if you know your project, then in that spare time that you have, what are you going to be doing? If you know that, okay, I've got the skill to write, you'll be trying to discover more books that are in you're going to extract and bring out. If you know that you have the gift to sing, you'll be trying to use that time to write a new song. If you know that you have the gift of acting, you'll be trying to that time to discover certain ways you can bring up some nice acts that are going to benefit people. Yeah. So it goes back to the aspect of identity again.
Okay. Amazing. So as we wind up, when you look at this book, especially the latest one,
Mm-hmm.
can we typically conclude that it's a reflection of 60% of your life, what you went through, your experiences as a single person?
This book is more of a teaching.
Mm-hmm.
That explanation you've given is for the first book.
Okay.
Yes. This book you find principles